everyone should try surfing at least once because it will change your life. Just that one time, like smiling, standing up on like the tiniest whitewash wave, your life will be changed.
Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. You see, you know everybody.
I grew up here. So my dad is an Encinitas firefighter. And I was born and raised here in North County, San Diego. And he started a Surfin Fire, a surf camp, when I was 7 years old. And so I lived on the beach every summer since I was 7 years old. And I feel like the surf industry is kind of small. Like once you're in it, you know this person, and it just kind of weaves a little web.
But did you surf before he started the surfing school, before you were 7 years old?
Yeah. He would always like take me out and put me on the front of his board. And I was a beach baby, but he always likes to joke because he's like, yeah, when you were, like a baby or just walking around toddler on the beach, you would fall in the sand. And I guess I would like lay there like face first with my hands up because I didn't want to get my hands sandy. And I would like lay there and be like, Dad or like, Mom, come pick me up because I hated the sand.
You don't remember probably your first surf.
I honestly don't. I started remembering more of like my surf sessions when the camp started. And a lot of those like childhood memories are at the surf camp. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just a lot of like instructors pushing me into my, first waves. And then eventually like you get confidence and then you start going further out. But yeah, spending every day at the beach in the summer from 7 on, you progress like pretty quickly and just get really comfortable with the ocean. So
I cannot even ask you whether you popped up on your first wave.
Yeah, it would have been like one of those things like you see the pro surfers taking their little babies out and then the dad like standing up on the board and then picking the kid up. That I think that probably was like my first official standing on a surfboard wave, being my dad picking me up and being like, all right, Kyla, you're doing it. So
now you run your dad's surf school. Was there ever a question of you actually doing anything else?
Yeah. So I think when I got older, I started like kind of working for him here and there, like in high school, a little after high school. And I don't know if anyone else can maybe relate, but sometimes working for your family is like, I don't know if I want to do this. I kind of want to branch off and find my own way. So I ended up going to I was going to community college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I think I did that for 2 years, was just still really unsure. And then I was like, I heard my friend talking about being a dental assistant and loving it. So I was like, I'll check that out. So I actually went to school for dental assisting and did that for 7 years of my life. And then COVID hit. And I had this friend who she was surf coaching. That was like her main source of income and everything that she was doing at the time. And she got really busy during COVID, as did everyone. Like COVID hit and everyone's like, what do we do? And surfing, I think, was just a really easy no-brainer. You're just getting outside, you're staying, 6 feet distancing kind of thing. So she was really busy and she needed help. And so I was like, you know what, since I have the time now, because the dental office wasn't open that I was working at, I was like, sure, I'll help you. And at the time too, I was going to school for ultrasound tech. So I was going to switch out of dental and go into ultrasound. But I think the more I started surf coaching with her, the more I started realizing that I didn't want to do ultrasound. And I was like, this makes so much more sense. It's in my family, like blood. Why don't I just do this? So I stopped doing school for ultrasound, and then stopped dental and started like surf coaching. But it definitely was a grind because I took like a huge cut in pay. So I still was temping and picking up at random dental offices. And then maybe about 2 years ago, I started like gaining a lot more momentum with the surf coaching stuff and meeting more people and working with more kids. And I work with a lot of like young female adults or females of pretty much any age. And then my dad, I think, also saw like, okay, Kyla's ready to take over the business. She's doing really well with the surf coaching stuff. So then he he has 2 locations, and he turned over the Oceanside Pier location to me. And that's honestly like where I did most of my surfing anyways. Like I live in Oceanside. All my friends are in Oceanside. All my friends surf the Oceanside Pier all the time, or the harbor. You'll see like a lot of pros out. So I was just like so excited when he was like, do you want to take over the Oceanside Pier? And I was like, heck yes. Like that's a no-brainer. So, and he has 2 locations. So he still runs the one at Stone Steps, which is in like Carlsbad area, Carlsbad, Lacadia area. And then I think he's actually retiring from the fire department June of this year. And then I think he might continue the surf school for maybe another 2 years, but then we'll see. Maybe I'll take over that location too. I don't know. But I'm having a lot of fun at the pier.
Oh, I bet. I bet. You see, I never suspected that this was your journey. I always just assumed that since, your dad had a surf school, you just naturally were groomed to take over. Interesting little detour into the dental school. But you mentioned COVID, and can you tell us like what the difference was in terms of people who were coming to your school and wanted to surf, and then with that explosion that we all keep talking about, and all these COVID surfers? Was there a different profile of a person who wanted to learn to surf, or was it just more people?
I think it was just more people. Like the world kind of just went on pause, and everyone's like, what do I do with my time now? And surfing, in a sense, like it can be really expensive to be a surfer, but I think it's one of the more accessible things. Like same with like riding a bike, but riding a bike's not for everyone. I think Southern San Diego or, Southern California, everyone's like, it's sunny out. The water gets not too cold. You just drive down to the beach. Like it's a whole day thing. So I mean, once you do the initial investment of like the surfboard and wetsuit, you just show up to the beach, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's addictive too. Like, once you catch your first wave, you're like, I want to keep going.
I know.
But yeah, I didn't really see too much of a difference in like the clientele. I think everyone wants to try it at some point in their lives. Some people are like, oh no, too afraid of the ocean. But yeah, it just got busier, I think, because it's like, what do we do now?
Is there a specific philosophy behind your school and your dad's school that maybe is different from how other coaches teach surfing?
I think since taking over the Oceanside Pier location and running a business, that honestly has helped a lot with my own like self-confidence and self-worth and that sort of stuff. So I feel like I've taken that kind of growth and life journey and applied it to my surfing. And when I have been able to do that, just being I guess, more focused on helping other surfers, especially females in the surf world, feel and build their own confidence so they can like, or I feel like my purpose now is to empower female surfers, and I mean surfers of any gender, to feel confident in any lineup around the world. So I have created programs, like I do a 5-part clinic series, or it's a 5-part like class clinic series over 5 months, and it's like specific for women surfers who want to learn how to surf. And so I take them from the very first class. We just focus on the fundamentals and the basics of surfing. So that's like popping up, handling the board, what kind of wetsuit are you going to be wearing, what kind of board do you need to have the most fun and ride the furthest that you can. And then the next session actually, or the next class, we start focusing on a little bit more. So I add a little bit more each time, go over like paddling, how to get up and over waves, turtling, duck diving. And then the next class, we kind of build a little bit more on that one too. And so I think for class 3, I had them do like a little paddle relay, all the women that were in the clinic. And it was fun because they're like, that was so helpful to actually do a team effort, do a lay down paddle and then a knee paddle. And then the next class, I had them paddle all the way out through the lineup or through the whitewash to get out into the lineup. And we didn't necessarily catch any waves then, but it's just to get them comfortable and like slowly push them and then give them homework between each class to like keep them accountable. Because my whole thing was, well, in a normal lesson, you spend maybe 10-15 minutes on the beach with your instructor doing a quick kind of overview of everything you need to know. And then you go out in the water, they kind of really super hands-on, pushing you into waves, making sure you just have the most fun. Whereas this clinic series is really extensive. We probably spent like an hour on the beach going over multiple different topics and then applying it in the water. And so by the end, the goal was to have these ladies be masters of, I like to call them the insider sliders. So be masters of the insider sliders and then be able to feel confident enough to push themselves to then become masters of the outsider riders is what I call it. So I love to have fun with it. I think that kind of sets us like Surf and Fire apart too, is just like number one priority is to have fun, but also I think with my dad's firefighting background, like he totally instilled safety in me. So a lot of the topics like would be ocean safety, how, what to do in a rip current, how to navigate like by the pier, that sort of thing. So I'm really hands-on with the safety stuff and having fun. Like I'm just a big grom, but so that's kind of my main focus, is really empowering surfers to feel confident and comfortable.
Is there one thing that you wish everybody that you're working with, like everybody who's a beginner surfer and has their first lesson, that you wish that they would know before having the first lesson?
I think the biggest takeaway especially for any sport, just to have fun with it and not be like super hard on yourself, because especially with surfing, you kind of are, you're in the ocean, and the ocean can be sometimes really nice and playful, and it makes it so much fun. And then other days you'll get so frustrated and like pounded by the ocean and question like, why am I doing this? And to not let those days discourage you. Like if it's something that you want to pick up and keep continuing, to not like, it's just like life. Like you're going to have the ups and downs. I think surfing though is a great parallel for life in general. But yeah, just, I guess, to have fun. If you never surfed, just who cares what you look like? just have fun.
This was a tricky question. I only thought about it this morning. And my answer would be like, just for them to know that surfing is really hard. Don't be hard on yourself because, everybody makes it look so easy, but they've been doing this for decades. The hardest thing for me in surfing is the pop-up. And you've been teaching so many students. Is there anything that you can tell us that would make it easier for us to pop up? Maybe there is a mystery that can be just unraveled in this episode and is just going to make everything okay.
I think a lot of it, I mean, there's so many different factors though, too. So a lot of it, like if you're having a hard time popping up, you can just start looking at different factors. Like what kind of equipment are you riding? Because if you're riding a smaller board, it's definitely going to be way less stable. So it's going to be a lot harder to pop up because you're going to have to create your own stability by paddling more efficiently to gain that momentum. And then the momentum is what gives you the stability for an easier pop-up. But like when you're learning and you're beginning, I think making sure you're on the right board and a big enough board to add that stability, whether it's like super wide, the wider the board, the more stable it's going to be, or really long. And then a lot of it too is just like your body's physical ability. So I've worked with a couple sorry, my computer's having a little pop-up. But I've worked with a couple physical therapists, and they have all said a lot of the focus should kind of be on your hip mobility and then creating that space. So like when you go to pop up, you're pushing, and then now you're trying to create space between the board and your chest. So you can bring your front leg and knee forward. So, and because I see a lot of people, they'll get stuck bringing their knee and leg onto the outside of the elbow. And then your foot's like all the way over here and the stringer's over here. So then you're off balance already. And it's so hard to swing your leg around. So I think a lot of it is just on land practice of working on your hip flexibility too. So you can bring your knee through your chest. And my good friend, who's a physical therapist, his brand is called the Nomadic Athlete. And he actually created this really great pop-up guide. So he has like a couple exercises in the pop-up guide. And I'll open it here to see. Because I honestly was having like a slow pop-up a couple years ago. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why am I struggling with my pop-up? And he gave me this pop-up guide, and I kind of fit it into my gym routine, and it helped. Like he was like, oh, I notice a huge difference in how quick you're popping up now and having my feet in the right position. So he even has like stuff like, he really breaks it down, like understanding the pop-up, like why you should continue to keep your pop-up sharp, even common limitations. So a lot of and maybe you can relate to this, like the limitations that he has found is 1, not enough mobility, 2, not enough strength, 3, poor technique, or 4, like having a combination of all of the above. And then the exercises that he has you focus on is going to be like adding hip mobility, back mobility, speed, power, and strength. So he does like seated hip 90-90s, squat stance 90-90s, prone press up, power push up, back foot pop and place. So that's like what they call like the step up method. The more you can create the muscle memory and the muscle patterning, so the more you practice this on land, then eventually you will see results in the water on your surfboard. And it just comes with time. Like, with surfing, it's so challenging to learn, and it takes consistency and a lot of time in the water. Like I've been surfing my whole life and I'm like, why? I can't, sometimes I like have trouble with my turns or something like that, or I even go over the falls. So, I mean, it happens to all of us, no matter how long you've been surfing. It just takes a long time and a lot of like discipline and consistency and practice.
And you find every day you can find something else that is an obstacle to your pop-up. Like this morning, I discovered that my big toe is just too long and it's just dragging on the board. So I'm just gonna have to cut it off. There's always an excuse, but yeah, consistency is key. If I was going out every single day practicing, I'm sure I'll be popping up much better.
I mean, if you're only going out once or twice a week, you might not really ever see any progress, or it's going to be like extremely slow. So if you can commit to like going out, I mean, 4 times a week, like that's how, so real quick, my younger cousin, is Alyssa Spencer. And I used to live with them when she was 12 years old. And I remember driving her to the beach. Like she would surf every day and she would surf for hours. And she would sometimes we would pull up to the beach and it would look so bad. I'm, like 22 and I'm like, I'm not paddling out in this, but she would go out. And so it just like, she got to the level she's at now because she put in so many hours, no matter what the surf looked like. I think there's so many variables in surfing. Like you have the ocean and ocean awareness and stuff like that. So it really depends on the person and the individual, how quickly they progress. Some people like progress super quickly. Other people, it might take them a lot longer and they might have to work harder at that. And I am not sure why that is, but it just totally varies. Like it can be so different person to person.
Do you think it's possible for a person to learn to surf on their own?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you're going to try to learn surfing, majority of the time that you're going to be surfing is without like a surf coach or someone teaching you. The only thing I say with that is it can be frustrating learning on your own. So I think maybe taking a lesson here and there, or if you are able to commit to a surf coach, because then you're at least getting the feedback and what the only reason I would suggest a surf coach is it's going to take learning on your own to learning with a surf coach, and it's going to speed your like learning curve up. It will cut it in half.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot more progression. But I mean, I've seen people who are self-taught too. It's just, and you figure it out. It's like learning, you make a mistake, you go out, try it again. You're like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Or I'm not going to be, this far up on my board because I'm going to get water up my nose from nose diving. So it's just trial and error. But if you're the type of person that gets frustrated really easy, then maybe working with a surf coach like a couple of times in the beginning. So that way you have more like surf knowledge and ocean awareness.
Are there any rookie mistakes that all surfers that are starting their surfing journey make?
I just think a lot of it comes down to like maybe not knowing surf etiquette. I think that's a huge piece that is missing in a lot of like learning how to surf. If you think you can just go pick up a board and paddle out, in my eyes, that can be actually kind of dangerous if you don't know surf etiquette, because now not only are you maybe putting yourself in danger or at risk of like getting run over, not knowing what to do with a big board, like getting yourself in a situation where it's too big and you panic. And I've seen people take off their leashes, which is crazy because you're attached to your flotation device. Like a board it can definitely do some damage. So if you don't know how to turn and you're running someone over, so that I think that's maybe the biggest challenge with new surfers, just sending it out there and not knowing the safety, because you can hurt yourself or hurt someone else if you don't know proper surf etiquette.
And this is something that you teach during your 5-week program, right?
Yeah. And even in my private lessons, I definitely touch on that. Like, okay, if, you know, a surfer is at the peak and they're going right and you're like paddling out and you're paddling over to the shoulder, but you're right in their like line, they're going to do a turn right there. That also is knowing what to do in that situation. So that's also considered surf etiquette. So instead of maybe paddling to their, line that they're going to draw, paddle behind towards the whitewash so you totally miss them and not get run over. Because there's still in a lot of lineups, there's still people who are going to get like pissed and not understand. So I think it is really important just to understand the surf etiquette and how to read waves.
Yeah.
So you can understand like which way to go, or being able to communicate too is super important. So, but yeah, I definitely try to teach surf etiquette and like ocean safety and ocean awareness in like all my lessons, all my clinics and stuff.
I sometimes think that surf etiquette is actually the hardest one to learn because it's not codified. You cannot take a test. You cannot have a surfing license or whatever that would be.
Yeah, I know. I actually was talking to my friend. I was like, I almost feel like that would be kind of helpful for people learning how to surf, because surf etiquette is so important. It's like driving a car. You need to know the laws of the road before you drive a car. You're driving something that could potentially kill somebody.
Uh-huh.
Whereas surfing is the same. Like it can be so, so fun, but then you have that serious, like, okay, I could seriously injure somebody or drown or whatever it is.
So many more people getting into surfing. A surfing explosion. We've got the Olympics coming up. People are going to be seeing surfing on TV. They're going to be grabbing their boards from Costco and just running into the ocean. No idea what they're doing. Do you think at some point we're going to reach that point where there's just too many people in the water?
I don't know. I haven't thought too much into that. It's just, it's, yeah, but I don't know. Cause I feel like, yeah, we're obviously becoming more populated around the world. A lot more people are going to want to surf too. So yeah, I'm sure the lineups might get a little more crowded, but I think even with that, there's still so many pockets of lineups that nobody's out at, to where you can find, even here in like Oceanside and Encinitas, like you might not want to paddle out at Swami's because there's like 100 guys out, but north of Swami's, like if you keep going, maybe there's only one guy out and the wave is maybe not as ideal as Swami's, but you can catch more waves now because you're not fighting other surfers. I think there's so much opportunity and so many untouched surf destinations and surf spots that, but again, like if you're going to surf, it's kind of just like, okay, depending on where you live, like in San Diego, I think part of learning how to surf in San Diego is just, that's part of, you've got to be an acceptance of like, this is the reality, reality check. No matter where I go, if the surf is good, it's going to be crowded. And I think with that, like knowing how to navigate a more crowded lineup, or I see a lot of people like sitting off to the side and still catching waves too.
You organize surf retreats because you mentioned that. Have you noticed any change in terms of like how many more people are going on surf retreats? Is it getting a little bit busier? Is there now more understanding what a surf retreat is?
Surf retreats are amazing because it's just making surf travel, in my eyes, way more accessible to any surfer. So, if you've never been to like Indonesia and you're nervous to go there by yourself or explore, that, like you can hop on a retreat and then you get to experience this new surf destination that you might have not ever gone on without knowing what to do. And these surf retreats, I think, are a really great tool to kind of guide you there. and a great way to meet other people. So I think if you like surfing with other people, which I feel like if you're an adult surfer and you're not like a professional surfer, I I want to say most of us do it for the fun of it and like being able to share the ocean with our friends and especially female surfers. It's like we get girl talk and get to sing songs in the lineup and party waves and stuff like that. So I do feel like surf retreats are just kind of an awesome tool to connect female surfers from anywhere in the world and make it surf travel feel a lot less intimidating, I guess I should say. But I don't feel like yet that it's becoming too saturated. I know there's a lot of retreats out there, but I love to keep the mindset of like there's always opportunity for everyone, and even the surf retreats there's opportunity for multiple surf retreats because they're not all going to attract the same people. Maybe like there's a surf retreat that they do something a lot differently and have like a special something that attracts this clientele versus like one that I run versus one that my friend runs. So I think it's just great for all kinds of people and all kinds of surfers.
Would you recommend a surf retreat to somebody who's just starting to surf? Or it's like they never surfed and they want to go on a surf retreat? Or do you think people should wait until they've had a few lessons?
I mean, so the one that me and Elle are running together, it's in Nicaragua and it's an all girls learn to surf retreat. So you don't have to have any experience. So all these girls are traveling from all over the world. I think we have a girl from Brazil, like someone from Florida. Gosh, where else have the girls said that they're from? But all over. And they don't have any surf background. So they're just traveling without no surfboards. They're coming to like a tropical place. And it's one of my favorite places, one of Elle's favorite places to travel. It's like northern Nicaragua. And we're going to teach them how to surf there, which is so fun. Amazing. So, yeah. And then I have actually had people on like my regular surf retreats that I host with my friend Katie. Like they've been somewhat beginner, and the progress that happens is so rapid. It's so cool to see because I think it's just like when you surf with a group, especially people that are more advanced than you, it raises the level of the entire group. So you kind of learn from each other and you're like pushed to challenge yourself a little bit. Like, okay, I see these people doing it. I'm going to try. And then you almost like, you're like, I don't want to be left out by being the only one on the inside in the whitewash. So I'm going to go for it. So I have seen a lot of really fun progress from people who have maybe surfed a couple of times and they're like, I'm just going to go for it. And they sign up for the retreat. And it's like, it's really cool to see the progress.
You answered one of my questions because I ask whether it's better to surf with people who are more advanced than you. If you're just going out just regularly at your local break. And I feel like you do get a lot of advantage from it because you feel pushed, literally pushed into the waves, into the lineup. You want to, obviously you want to be with them, so you're in the lineup, and then you will take the waves that they take.
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know about everyone, but I'm pretty competitive. And so if I see a person who's better than me surfing wise, I'm like, like super supportive. I'm like, oh yeah, that's sick. That was a great turn. But then in my head, I'm like, I want to do that. So it does. And then you learn by watching. I think all humans are super visual, maybe. Most humans, like visualization is huge. And I know that there's been like studies out there that if you're an athlete, if you spend a lot of time visualizing what it looks and feels like, you'll progress with the visualization. And so how do you visualize that? Well, our brain has to see how it's done. So if you're surfing with someone better than you, you'll start getting those aha moments and start applying it to your own surfing. And I think too, it when you're surfing with someone who's better than you, I personally, I always feel safer in the lineup versus if I'm surfing by myself or like with someone. um I don't want to say like that I'm better than, but like I usually will feel safer if someone that I'm surfing with is maybe a little bit more advanced with me or than me. So I think there's that aspect too of now you feel safe with someone that you're surfing with. And then when you feel safe, you are more able to push your own limitations or what was holding you back before. You get those aha moments from when you're watching someone. And so I sometimes too, I'll like the video review stuff is a game changer. And I think that's why so many people are progressing way more quickly in surfing and in any sport because now you have the video review. Like I use this software, Pack2, I think it's how you say it, pack2.com. And I can upload my client's video. I can draw on it. And then I can upload like a comparison video of like, this is what it, should look like. And I find that super helpful because now you're seeing like what you're looking like and what your arms are doing, where you're looking, where you're positioned with the wave. And then also now you're getting a visualization of like how to properly do it too. Yeah. And I've had coaching done with the video review too, and it's helped my surfing like so much. Just knowing like where your arm is or having that body awareness and like seeing it like, oh, okay.
You mentioned Nicaragua as one of the places that you like going to surf. Where else? Where else?
Gosh, I feel like I'm honestly, this is the year that I'm just kind of scratching the surface of like surf travel. I've done some in the past, and this year, I don't know what it was. I think I was just like, I'm just going to say yes to all these surf trips. But I do love Nicaragua. I love Costa Rica. I absolutely love El Salvador because if you're a regular, it's just there's right point break after right point break after right point break. Like, and there's so many different waves that like I love. And I mean, have you been to Central America?
I've been to Costa Rica.
Yeah, just the weather is great. Like you go in warm water. I love going down to Baja. I've been to mainland Mexico. I don't know. They're all different though. Like, so I can't say I love one more than the other. But I don't know. There's something special about Nicaragua though. It's just like still pretty undeveloped. And I think there's a lot of like magic to the land still. And you just, I don't know, you wake up, before the sun rises, you get your coffee, bowl of fruit, like maybe like I love to journal before I go out. And then so you have like a slower morning waking up early, you're in your bikini all the time, and then you get to go surf in warm water too, and then come back like lounge by the pool, lounge in a hammock.
What kind of waves do you like the most? Are you a short boarder or a long boarder?
So I do both. And I actually I've done both my whole life. I was always better at longboarding, and I did compete like in a couple Roxy Pros like when I was out of high school. And then but I never did like super well in them. I think I only like advanced like a heat or two. Um and then shortboarding was always really tricky. Like the girls have always been really good, and then I think after I stopped competing, I just was like, oh, a lazy girl surfer. Like I have a tiny car. I don't want to put the racks on my car and then put the longboard on my car and then tie it down. So I'm like, what can I put in my car? But recently I actually got a 9-foot longboard that fits in my tiny car. So I don't have that excuse anymore. But because I was the lazy girl surfer, I would just be like, okay, shortboarding is easier. I can just throw it in my car. And I just like a little bit of an adrenaline rush. So I'm like, I want to feel a little scared. I want to feel like, oh my God, I'm looking down on this wave and I'm kind of scared. So I definitely like punchier beach breaks. So Oceanside Pier, Oceanside Harbor. If I'm surfing locally, I'll go to Blacks. Um, Anything that gives me like a little bit of like adrenaline rush. So yeah, but I still love longboarding. I guess it's just perspective. Like wherever I'm having the most fun, whether that be, by myself pushing the limits a little bit or with friends on like a small day, I almost have sometimes more fun in those sessions. So, but yeah, I punch your waves for sure.
What's the biggest wave you've ever surfed?
Maybe 10 foot. I think that's probably my max. And I don't think I want to surf any bigger than that.
Do you think you're an advanced surfer? I mean, like you've surfed all your life, right?
Mm, I'd, I'd have a hard time saying I'm advanced. I always have thought of myself as like an intermediate surfer, but now I do, like, I feel confident in the lineup. Like I surf coach all the time. So like I am really good about navigating lineups, navigating crowds with like another surfer that I'm keeping an eye on and helping through this. Um, I'm really good at reading the ocean, but like advanced, sometimes I can't even do a turn or my feet, stand up all weird. I'm like, what am I doing? So I don't know.
I think you mentioned this, but would you say that surfing is helping you in real life? Whatever you learned in the ocean, you can apply it.
Yeah, I really believe that just with being patient, learning patience. I mean, because surfing can be so frustrating at times, and learning how to be gentle with yourself and, just being able to respect something that is kind of unknown. You're just at the mercy of the ocean, and it's so just strong, and there's you don't ever know what it's going to do. So I think just being able to learn, have an open mind and allow surfing to teach you what it's supposed to teach you, and as far as the ocean. And yeah, I really think that's been like a huge tool in my life of looking back on like where I've been in all the points, and how surfing has always been there and been like a constant variable and a constant teacher in my life, and taking all the lessons that I've learned with the ocean and then applying it on land. But I do believe that surfing, I think surfing changes lives
It's
in a really amazing way. Yeah, it's like a magic tool.
It certainly changed mine, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's so many great takeaways. Like I've met so many amazing people out in the water, surf traveling. Um, let's see, like, yeah, it's helped my confidence. Um, just so many cool things. So yeah, I'm like speechless. I don't even know how to put it into words.
So would you recommend that everybody should try surfing at least once?
Yes, I totally think so. I think everyone should try surfing at least once, because it will change your life just that one time. Like smiling, standing up on like the tiniest whitewash wave, your life will be changed. You're going to move from Utah to the coast of San Diego.
Yeah, it probably would happen. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
They can go to my website, which is surfinfireoceanside.com, or my Instagram that I have for my surf school, which is surfinfire_oside, or my personal one, Kyla Peterson. So those are the easiest ways to get in touch. And I feel like or Facebook, like I'm pretty darn responsive. I love talking to people. I think, yeah, like surfing's all about connecting. And so I just love like hearing from people like, where do they want to go in Nicaragua? Like, if you don't know, reach out to me because I've been there. I think I went there 4 times in the last year. So, yeah, it's just fun to connect. Like, if you are struggling with your mindset when it comes to surfing, I love talking about that. I've actually run some clinics too with like NLP coaches or neuro linguistic programming coaches. And so I love, but easy to talk to. That was my whole thing. I love talking. So this podcast was great because I can voice note you all day long.
And that's all for today. Check out the Wipeout Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Wipeout Weekly.